I've built a lot of setups, from cheaper ones to completely decked out setups that are unreasonably expensive. But what about the middle zone, where everything is affordable but also not complete junk? Well, that's something we're exploring today. Everything in today's setup is hand-picked to last a long time and feel premium without breaking the bank. Why? Well, because questions about setups keep me up at night, and I won't rest until I build the perfect setup. And we're hiring people and want them to have a nice place to work, so I'm looking to build a starter setup for them to jump off of. We'll be trying out some new stuff today, like 3D printing stuff, testing new tech, and buying used office chairs to save money, all in the noble pursuit of complete and total maximum value. First up, we need the base of the setup, the foundation, if you will. It's what everything else is built off of. We're talking about the desk. But first, I'm Betty, and I'm a standing desk addict. I own a lot of them, some might say too many. But to be honest, I still don't quite know what the best value desk is yet, because I recently tried a $100 desk, the cheapest one I could find, but I felt like it was a little too cheap for the build I wanted to go with. But in my pursuit to find something better in the $300 range, I stumbled upon the FlexiSpot E6 with rubber wood on Amazon. They had sent me their E7 Plus with rubber wood, and I really liked it, so I figured this would be the same thing but cheaper, right? The E6 is supposedly weaker, as it can only hold 220 pounds instead of 600 like the E7, but I'm not inviting sumo wrestlers to come sit on my desk, so I think I'm good with 220. And when the desk arrived a few days later, it was left in the box for a few weeks, just lying there around the office as a doorstop. I actually put off this video for weeks because I didn't want to assemble it. And while I'm obsessed with standing desks, I'm not obsessed with building them. That is burnout. Trust me, it gets old quickly. So out of desperation or laziness, whatever you want to call it, I did something a little crazy. I found a furniture assembly expert on Thumbtack who came out and assembled it for me for $65. Sometimes the real value in life comes from saving time. After the whole process was complete, I finally got a chance to take a good look at it. Was it the best value desk I had hoped, or was it in the cheap junk territory? And I have to admit, at first it looks cheaper than the E7 Plus Max in almost every way, and the desk looks pretty small. The wood desktop is much thinner. It's about 1 Chick-fil-A sauce thick versus the E7 Plus, which is 1 1/3 sauce. I apologize for the strange unit of measurement, but I can never find the tape measure when I actually need it. It also has 2 legs instead of 4, which makes a big difference in how sturdy it feels.
Just snaps it. Oh, that's flexing a lot. Yeah, that is why they call it FlexiSpot. Wow.
It bends a lot, and I got pretty close to breaking it, although I am nowhere close to 220 pounds. The only other thing that bugs me about this desk is the controller for moving it up and down. It feels like it's made of super cheap plastic, and it's an absolute magnet for fingerprints. It actually looks like our Furniture Assembly Pro accidentally bent one of the buttons, so that's fun. Upon closer look, I think FlexiSpot needs to change the icons they use here. I know they mean the first button to be someone standing, but it looks a little bit like a guy peeing. And that in turn makes the second one look like someone sitting on the toilet. A weird choice of icons. I will say it definitely feels like you're getting less for your money at $300, but you know what? The rubber butcher block desktop looks fantastic, and it feels sturdy enough to serve the purpose of this setup. Now that we've got the desk squared away, we need the second most important item. The thing your butt's going to sit on for hours at a time. Your chair. The common sentiment on the internet is that instead of buying a brand new chair, you should just go online and buy a used Herman Miller Aeron instead. Why? Because the Aeron is often cited as the best office chair ever. It's comfortable, it has a nice breathable mesh, and is super adjustable. And I can attest to that. I have one, Jake has one, and they've ruined other chairs for us. The only problem is they cost around $1,800 brand new. Don't do that. But today we're going to test the internet's theory and try to go and buy a used Aeron to see if that's actually good advice. And maybe we'll save boatloads of money. So in the pursuit of value, we searched for deals around us and actually stumbled upon a used office furniture store nearby, and they have truckloads of Aerons. Now it may sound silly, but I never realized you could just go to a used furniture store and buy stuff. It's absolutely packed with hundreds of chairs and just miscellaneous office furniture. The salesman working there showed us some weird stuff, like this red designer chair that costs thousands and thousands of dollars for a Polish designer chair. And you know, maybe those Polish people, they really know how to design stuff. And this Herman Miller Eames chair that goes for $6K, I don't get it. But we are here for value, and specifically office chairs. So he took us to the warehouse and we got to actually test a variety of chairs at different price points. And I quickly realized this is the way to go. Instead of buying new full price chairs blind on the internet, if you go somewhere like this, you can rapid fire test chairs to quickly find stuff you like or don't like. After going through 4 to 5 chairs, I ended up closing in on the Knoll Generation chair. It felt simple, comfortable, and even better, affordable. It doesn't come without downsides though. The backrest is plastic and overall feels cheap compared to the Aeron. Plus, it lacks a lot more of the features, such as being able to recline, tilt the seat, and more. And what really shocked me is that it retails at $1,500. That's almost the same as the Aeron new. Who are buying these things new? Luckily, they sell them for a discounted price of $150. The one we picked out is in decent shape where everything works well, but I will say one of the armrests are pretty beat up. Overall, I rate it an 8 out of 10. It's pretty good value. Next up is something that most people overlook, but it can have a huge impact on your desk setup. When you buy a monitor, it eats up a lot of the desk space with the stock stand. But there's an easy hack to give you back that extra space, a monitor arm. And there's no better value option than the Huanuo SS6 single monitor mount, today's sponsor. I would have bought it for this setup anyways, even if they didn't sponsor the video, but they did. So, value baby. At around $35, it's ridiculously affordable and does everything you need it to. Sure, you can spend more, but you don't have to. The Huanuo arm is easy to assemble. It supports most monitors between 13 inches, who has a monitor that small, and 32 inches that are anywhere between 4 to 20 pounds, and even has built-in cable routing. It lets you move, swivel, rotate the monitor in the perfect position, whether you're sitting or standing. It also comes in black or white. The white looks pretty clean if you're going for that all-white aesthetic, or all black if you want to relive the early 2000s emo days. I miss those days. I miss the music actually. And since it includes all the tools you need, plus clear instructions, setup takes about 5 minutes. Any monitor with a VESA mount will work with this arm as long as it's not too big. Huanuo also has arms for larger or dual setups like the one that Jake uses, and even some crazy ones for 4 monitors, but let's calm down a little bit for now.
They've also got the upgraded DS8 if you want a dual or stacked setup, and even an RGB monitor arm that can hold screens up to 57 inches.
Thanks again to Huanuo for sponsoring this segment.
You can grab one using the link and coupon code on screen. Both are in the description and pinned comment.
Next up, for the monitor arm, we need the monitor. The monitor is your retina's gateway to the internet. Wow, that's nerdy. My first thought was I should go with OLED, which is a type of monitor that's known for its great inky blacks and good picture quality. But most OLEDs are $500 to $600, or at least they start there. And for the purpose of this setup, it's overkill. So if you're in an office environment and spend all of your time in Notion, Google Sheets, and email, you don't need insane picture quality or inky blacks. Or maybe that's just copium and OLED is always the answer. I was curious though, how cheap is too cheap for a monitor? I started by going for this Acer 23.8 inch monitor in 1080p for about $90. It's what I consider the absolute bare bones option for a setup like this, and after unboxing it, I was surprised by how lightweight it is. Like, it feels super cheap where a small gust of wind will break it or something. The screen looks super dim and honestly felt a little depressing to use. I think in search of value, I overstepped into cheap territory here. So let's find another option. So I'm currently using a Samsung G9 Odyssey, which is a 49-inch OLED monitor, and I've been loving it lately, but it's definitely overkill. So let's find something in the middle. And that's when I remembered I had basically solved this problem already. I have a Dell monitor that I picked up about 4 to 5 months ago that's 27 inches. So it's bigger than this tiny Acer, and the picture quality is much better. It comes in at 1440p instead of 1080, and it's quite cheaper than the OLED. The picture quality is brighter, crisper, and it makes for a great office monitor. Now, I'm still in my monitor testing arc, so I definitely can't say I'm an expert, but please comment down below if you think this is a good option or not. It's the Dell G2725D. Now that we've got the desk, the chair, the monitor, and the arm, we've got the basics. I have some fun 3D prints I want to test out for the setup, but first, we need a docking station. Yeah, this is meant to be a laptop first setup. Once you go laptop, you never want to go back to a huge PC. I am a only laptop person now. So I want a setup that's easy for someone to plug their laptop into and get to work. Recently, we compared the Amazon Basics dock with the CowDigit TS4, and while the Amazon Basics dock has a lot of the same features and is objectively a better value price-wise, I just keep crawling back to CowDigit. There's something just so convenient about their docks. Plus, after using the Basics dock for a bit, it's definitely gotten scratched up from plugging stuff in, and I want something a little nicer. Most of all, I just need more ports. So today, we're going with the CowDigit TS4. This thing retails at $380. Yeah, you heard that right. It's pricey, but it's what I would call a forever dock. When I took it out of the box, I had to make a crucial decision. Should I mount it horizontally or vertically? The CowDigit has removable rubber feet that slot into the grill, so you can choose which configuration you want. And I mean, obviously horizontal makes the most sense since I can just slide it under the monitor. Who actually uses this thing vertically? That's a little unhinged, right? If you use it vertically, leave a comment down below. I'm curious. Who are these unhinged folks? Now with that in place, let's do some fun 3D prints. So the first thing I want to print is a storage solution for the laptop. I don't want this thing to simply sit on the desk, taking up precious desk space. So I looked up a print online and found this hexagonal vertical laptop stand that seemed like the perfect option. After printing it out, the design looked surprisingly good, but I did run into a few problems. The first problem is that the laptop stand is slippery. The PLA filament directly on the wood desk has zero friction, and that means it could fall off the desk pretty easily. Luckily, I had ordered this bag of rubber feet and felt pads, for all my future 3D prints. So I placed a felt pad inside so my laptop wouldn't be rubbing against hard plastic. I put a few rubber feet on the bottom to keep it from sliding, and problem solved. The next problem I encountered with this design is that it's really easy to knock over. I didn't really have the time or experience to modify the print, and I definitely don't want holes in the table screwing it in. So I went for a halfway solution. I just pushed the desk against the wall so it won't fall off the desk if it tips. Yeah, sometimes a problem just isn't really a problem. The next thing I wanted to print out was to manage all these cables coming out the back of the CowDigit. I used a wood PLA filament for the part where the cables attach and a black filament for the screw. Now I can easily clamp it to the table and run all the cables through it out the back of the CowDigit. Some of the cables were a little too fat for this print, like the power cable to the TS4, so I really had to push them in. So if I were to do this again, I would make this print 20% larger so it could fit those fat cables better. Next up is a clamp for holding stuff on the side of the desk. Sometimes you don't want to put your backpack on the floor or your headphones on your desk. Then I wanted to try something that I would say is in a moral gray area. You see, I have these Carpio 2.0 wrist rests that I really like from a previous sponsorship. They're nice because they glide with your hands when you're typing or using your mouse, and they feel a lot better than traditional wrist rests. I hated them at first, but I actually really love them now, and I use them all the time. So when browsing Bamboo Labs app, I found a 3D printed wrist rest that looked oddly similar. I was curious if the 3D printed version would be any good, so I gave it a shot. And after testing them, I gotta say it's interesting. You don't get the same comfort as the real thing since it's hard plastic instead of the squishy silicone, and without the feet on the bottom, there's a lot more friction when you're using them. You're not just gliding all over the place. I honestly would just buy the real thing. Next up are the speakers. Now, I've been outspoken about my favorite choice for desktop audio for quite a while now, the Audio Engine A2 Pluses, and I absolutely love these speakers. The sound quality is fantastic for the price. But at nearly $300, I want to see if I can find something more budget-friendly. And I don't want to get too comfortable always relying on the same picks. So I'm venturing outside my comfort zone once again. After doing a bunch of research online, I keep seeing people recommend the Creative Pebble X. They're speakers that are shaped like little balls and are super space efficient, but they also look silly. And they only cost $90, so we'd definitely be saving some money. So I figured, why not give them a shot? There's also an option you can buy with a separate subwoofer, which I was tempted to buy out of curiosity, but considering it's for an office environment, we don't really need thumping audio, and I would hate it if someone played that. So I just picked up the normal version. After unboxing them, plugging them in, I have to say, they look good. They look like little balls. But the real question is, how do they sound? If they're good, I'll chalk this up to a huge win, and if they suck, I may go crawling back to my Audio Engine A2 Pluses. I tested a few songs, and I have to say, It's not exactly what I expected. Where they start to fall off is with the vocals. It just sounds super quiet and muffled, but at least with a bit of tweaking, it does get better. Honestly though, at this point, I am just spoiled by high quality audio in every form, so I think it's ruined cheaper desktop speakers for me. I'm not sure if I would buy these again, but I also don't have any alternatives besides my ride or die, and those cost too much. Next up is a desktop microphone, because in the age of endless Zoom calls, we all need good audio. Some people more than others. So I did a ton of research and stumbled upon this channel called Podcast Stage by Andrew. He made an excellent review of a mic called the Elgato Wave Neo. The mic looks clean, it's space efficient, and after some testing, I do admit, it sounds pretty good. The audio quality is clear and it's pretty satisfying. Pretty impressive for a USB mic straight out of the box. Although I will say it really struggles with the plosive sounds. So if you like to drop a hard P when speaking, maybe look for something else. Next up is an item I've talked about a ton on the channel, so I'm not gonna beat a dead horse too much. It's the Keychron M6. It's an ergonomic mouse similar to the Logitech MX3 and 4, but a third of the price, and it weighs less than half the weight and is great for old people like me. Plus the software is in the browser and you don't need to download it. Awesome, right? It's where gaming and productivity meet to make nearly the perfect mouse. Nearly is a key word here since I have had some issues with it. I definitely feel like the coating on the mouse isn't that high quality, like it picks up grime really quickly, so I recommend going for the black version. Do not, I'm warning you, do not get the white version. But overall, it's a solid pick and my go-to option. Watch one of my other videos on it if you want to learn more though. For the keyboard in this setup, I want something silent, office friendly. But as I learned recently from my best silent keyboards video, there aren't many options out there that are affordable. So after considering all of the picks and the fact that I want this to be a best value setup, I was left with only one option, the Gamma K TK75V3. This is one of those few pre-built silent keyboards that doesn't cost $150 plus, so it became the de facto option for the setup. It's a 75% keyboard with a knob and a small screen on the bottom right, so the small layout might not be for everyone, especially people out there that like using a numpad. It comes in a colorful design with blue keycaps, multicolor arrow keys, along with an RGB strip. In my opinion, it's a little too gamery for my taste, but I'm willing to overlook that to save $80 to $90. But if budget wasn't an issue, I'd easily go for the Newfie Air 75 V3 with silent switches any day. And the office can be distracting at times. There's loud keyboards, there's people chatting, so we're definitely gonna need a good pair of headphones so you can lock in when things get loud and distracting. Noise canceling headphones are definitely the way to go, but which ones to choose? So I know Sony is often regarded as the best, but last time I checked, the XM6s are like $450. That's an insane amount for some noise cancellation. We could go for an older model. The XM5s are retailing about $230, so that's like half the price. I just don't like how you can't fold them up. So perhaps the best option is to go back even farther than I've ever gone. The Sony XM4s. These are a great pair of headphones and the noise cancellation is fantastic. Even though they're 2 generations old now. It looks like they're going for $230 as well. What? That's pretty pricey for headphones that were released over 5 years ago. But luckily, I found something on Amazon, a deal if you will. I could pick them up refurbished for $180. So now that we've got all the tech we need, all that's left to do is cable routing. But before that, I want one more thing, a desk mat. Because nobody wants their mouse scraping across the wood surface. Desk mats are usually pretty affordable and cost around $20 to $30. I had this one hanging in my closet collection. It's a blue desk mat that will tie the entire setup together. I mainly chose it because all the other options were way too colorful and a little out there. And with that, all that's left to do is organize some of these cables. I found this 3D print online that you can screw under your PC and route cables through. So I printed it and installed it. It seemed like a great way to mount and organize extra cables. I also put a small box to hide the excess cables. And the setup was done. The cables neatly managed. Huzzah! We've done it. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. The entire setup feels cohesive. It's put together in a way you could say it's quaint. I definitely feel like I learned the limits of value. Sometimes you can go a little cheaper on like the microphone and the desk, but not without trade-offs. And other things, if you spend too little, you definitely end up in junky territory like the monitor and speakers. But it all comes down to prioritizing what you want most out of your setup and finding creative ways to save money, like 3D printing stuff. Thanks for watching and check out this video where I built my first laptop setup.